This Pitch Breakfast video is brought to you by Spangler & Agins, attorneys for Charlotte's startup community.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me this morning. Christy, Steve, thank you for your time. I want to start off with a question. Kind of by show of hands, how many people here use a calendar to manage their work or personal lives? All right, keep your hands up. How many people use more than one calendar to help manage this? I'll keep your hands up. Of the people who have their hands raised, how many of your friends and family have access to see what your availability is on those calendars? So that's one of the problems that we're solving at OVRLP. My name is Sterling Scott. I'm a founder of OVRLP. OVRLP is a social scheduling platform that helps to solve that challenge for people. So as we all know, scheduling can be a nightmare. And whether it's two people trying to get together for lunch or coffee, or whether it's a group of people trying to get together for drinks or for a meeting, what we generally find is that it's really hard to not only find a time and a day to go, but also figure out a place. And the more people that are involved, the more challenging it gets. And the more people that are added to that, it becomes almost impossible. So if you can imagine your personal life and you're trying to get together with family or friends, or whether you're in the office and trying to plan a lunch, it's really hard to plan based on people's availability and schedules. So that's where we came in. We developed a social scheduling platform that gives you the same functionalities that you would have in the office at home with your friends and family. So if you think about in the office, you can check your coworkers' calendars, find a time that works for everybody. In our social lives, we don't really have the opportunity to do that. We try to plan through text message or group emails where we're going back and forth on our availability. Or we try to send out a survey, something like where you ask people to mark on the calendar what days and times are available. These things are very time consuming, they're very difficult to do, and you don't always get a very good response rate. So what we did was we built a platform that allows you to automatically find available date, time, and location based on not just your availability, but your friends' availability and the things that you all like to do. So pretty much in essence, what we do is we help people spend more time with each other and less time planning how to spend that time with each other. So with a social scheduling platform, it pretty much takes the form of a really smart calendar. So if you look here at this first photo here, as you can see, it's just a typical calendar type of interface. You have the ability to add events to that calendar. This calendar syncs with any calendars you want it to, so you can sync it with your personal calendar, your work calendar, your mobile calendar on your phone. What you also have is you have a profile, allows your friends and family, coworkers to find you on this application. You can also form groups. So let's say that you have a networking group. You can form a networking group, and 20 or 30 people that are in that group can all join. You can plan events based on the number or percentage of people that are available. And you can also go in and get recommendations. So the system not only will allow you to plan things based on people's availability, it'll also give you the opportunity to get recommendations from the system saying, hey, did you know that you're all free this Friday? Would you all like to go to Topgolf? Things like that. Not only does this allow you to use this in your personal life with your friends and family, but it also allows you to use it with coworkers and things like that. So pretty much our target market, we're targeting people who are really high-level users of calendars and social scheduling social media platforms. And so we're targeting 137 million millennials and Gen Xers in the United States, 70% of which use calendars to manage their social lives. We're targeting this initial group early on just because these people are people who are already using using calendars, they're already using social media, and what we're doing is we're bridging the gap between those two to allow them to have the power of social media, but at the same time having the power of their productivity that they get in a business calendar. Let's talk a little bit how OVRLP makes money. So pretty much what we do is we offer sponsored recommendations. So what we do is for businesses that want to drive traffic to their venues and actually fill calendar spots, we actually allow them to purchase that. So for example, a high value, low volume business, something like a spa where they're spending more per interaction, but there's less people coming in per day, they can actually pay to fill up the seats in their calendar by recommending their services to groups. Another thing is that low value, high volume places, think like bars, breweries, coffee shops, can actually, rather than paying to invite people in, they can actually use this platform as a loyalty platform and a customer engagement platform where they continue to invite people back in based on their availability. And the other way is through transaction fees. People will be able to purchase tickets and admission to events through the actual platform itself. So that's how we're making money on the platform. This will range from $16 to $32 per user per year in terms of revenue, and $4 to $8 per user per year in terms of revenue for the transaction fees. Myself and my team member Alan, we are actually working on this day to day. We are bootstrapping the company, and as of right now, we are preparing for a launch coming up in March, April, and we are raising money so we can monetize the platform in July with the transactions and purchases. I want to thank you all for your time and like to open up the room for questions.
You want me to go first?
Fine.
Okay, so let's see, Sterling. Interesting idea. I'm old enough to remember Meetup.com, which is about 67 years ago. So I think the problem is a problem. So that part's real, and so I think one of the things that you did well in the pitch is set up the problem statement. You probably even could hit that a little harder. I mean, it's a serious pain in the ass. Like calendaring and scheduling is pretty serious. You might even build that up a little bit more. But the idea I like in the problem statement is pretty real to me. From the competitive standpoint, again, I'm a little old, so I'm a little antisocial these days. But I don't know I'm curious where some of the kind of core and foundational players in the space, how close they are to this fringe functionality, like a Foursquare. Are people using that to meet up? Some of these platforms have been around for a while. I don't know how close they get to scheduling or calendaring, but I'm curious on your point of view on the competition a little bit.
Yeah, so I think we have a lot of competition in the space. They're just doing things completely differently. So of course you have your traditional calendar platforms. The traditional calendar platforms, what they allow you to do is they allow you to see the availability of people who are also using that same platform. So for example, if I'm using Google Calendar, people within my organization can see my calendar. Someone else outside my organization can see my availability if I share with them. It's a very manual process. It's a per person, I'm going to go in and give you access to my calendar. That person has to go therefore also add your calendar to their calendar. And so it's a very manual process. It's hard to do in groups. Some other things that exist out there are different scheduling tools which pretty much allow you to send out a survey. So it's pretty much sending out a calendar survey where everyone can mark when they're available, and then based on that time, you can just figure out when you want to plan it.
Yeah.
It's still a very manual thing. It requires a lot of people to interact with it. Get the email, open the email, click into it, select their availability, and then even after you do that, you have to worry about the number of people that actually participate and stuff like that. Those are the two biggest competitors that we have in the space, and there's other platforms that are focused on helping you meet new people or like get together with groups. So like, for example, people use Meetup for their organizations to plan events, but usually it's one way. So it's more like the organization, hey, we're planning this on this date and time. Here's the invitation if you'd like to go, versus more of a collaborative, hey, this is when everyone's
one to many
free.
versus,
many. So there's not really anyone in the space doing it this way.
Okay. That makes sense. I think there's also something, and you're probably aware of this, but there's something coming that people have been working on for a while with regard to kind of taking the friction out of this process with bots and automation and some of that. Yeah. So you're probably contemplating some of that in the platform. So just a couple other questions quick on the monetization front. Is this like ad tech monetization, like you're going to be kind of using ad tech and getting inventory and kind of people will be able to buy on your platform? Are you actually thinking like, sometimes when people use the term sponsorship, I get a little bit nervous that it's like all feet on the street like selling, which is expensive, especially in the early days. So tell me a little bit about kind of how you're going to acquire some of the monetization and sponsoring. Yeah.
That's actually a good question. I'm glad you asked. That's something that I wanted to go into a little bit more. Pretty much what we're doing is we're adding a piece of the platform that allows businesses to not just create their own profiles for their organizations and create groups, but also be able to sponsor recommendations. So it works similar to other advertising technologies where they'd be able to.
There. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's extremely scalable. And versus like showing a user an ad, they're actually paying to actually recommend or invite people into their venues. So for example, if I own a spa and there's a group of, I can target groups of people.
Yes, it's very location kind of, or event based in that manner.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So how much of that will be proprietary to you versus, when you say scale, you usually can't have both. So how are you thinking about that?
Yeah, so I think the key thing, just to clarify, with proprietary, you're talking about the technology behind it.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're doing two different things. So one, we're tapping into other people's existing scheduling platforms. So for example, what they use to manage their current calendars or current purchasing systems, that's one thing that we're doing. The other thing that we're doing as well is for people that don't have those things, we're enabling them to do that through our platform. And pretty much what they can do is with a very quick plug-in, plug this into there. If they have an Outlook calendar or a Gmail calendar for their business, that's all that's required for them to plug this in and use this as their scheduling platform of choice if they don't have one already.
So you actually contemplating it as kind of a master, the calendar of all calendars. So your work reference is in there, your personal reference is in there, your social reference is in there. It's all in there, and you would actually operate out of that calendar. Meaning, and what I mean by that is, if I went into this calendar, can I, and I'm syncing with my work calendar, can I schedule a work event from you, or do I have to be in the other calendar to do that?
Yes, I'm actually glad you asked. So this is meant to be the only calendar you'll ever need. So
Okay.
for example, if you have 3 or 4 calendars, you can choose to manage them individually still and sync them with this one, or you can do it the other way around and manage them from here, decide what you want to
And then they'll
back.
push down to the other, yeah. Okay.
But we actually anticipate most of our users won't actually be using this calendar system kind of day-to-day interacting within it. They're just going to let this work in the background for them. So for example, this will automatically say, hey, would you like to go here with your friends? So they'll say, okay, I need to schedule with my friends and I'll log in to do that. And so versus most people actually using this to kind of manage their calendar day to day, they're going to let this be something they use when they need to schedule something.
Okay.
So it'll just kind of sit there until they need to.
Okay. So a couple just standard things. Just always, if when you get closer to actually fundraising, use of proceeds is always really important. Like, how big's the ask? What are the use of proceeds? And those of you that have been here before, I'm sure everyone has heard me say the same thing every time anyone gives a pitch, so I apologize. But cost of customer acquisition.
Yeah.
Anytime you're in the consumer market and you're competing for users, it can be a very, very expensive cost of customer acquisition. So just kind of keeping your eyes on what the best way and the least amount of conversion costs are in getting users.
Yeah, no, I second that. I think initially knowing, you did a good job of defining the problem, but I wanted to know exactly what was your goal. So you finally got to it.
Yeah.
But okay, you want to ask for money, and then I missed how much that money was. And so how much is that? How much are you going to be raising?
Yeah, I think right now the plan is to continue bootstrapping, but I am raising just a small number of $25,000 to build the monetization platform on top of it, the thing that allows the advertising technology. But I don't plan on, I think that's the main thing. I think the biggest thing is just getting connections to organizations. So as people, the even bigger ask is going to be any organizations that you're affiliated with, being able to test this out, put it in people's hands, get some feedback from that. I think the key thing now is we're in a early phase where we're still learning. And so we've been putting in people's hands just as kind of beta testing and getting feedback. Now we're actually preparing for launch. We actually want to put it in organizations, let them use it to drive traffic, let them use it to get people together and things like that. And I think the only thing the only missing piece from getting from where we are to our ideal state is that platform that allows the advertising technology.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a matter of, okay, it's a race once you sort of get in the market, and then what stops someone else from coming and building it. And then how much is the right amount to raise, and how quickly do you go while still getting that learning. You talked a little bit about you and your co-founder. I'd like to just spend a little bit more time. What is your experience? How are you prepared to take on this very big problem? Again, when you're asking for money, people want to know not only, okay, how big is the problem, how are you going to solve it, but who is on the team to best do that?
Yeah.
So I'd just like to hear a little bit more about, how did you even come up with this idea, and why are you guys the best guys to tackle this?
Yeah.
The only other thing too, in this, I guess, depending on who you're pitching, maybe it's not worth mentioning, but to me, I don't know if the winds are going to officially change here or not, but just the notion of a tool where everybody knows where I'm going to be and when, and that's the objective, starts to bring in at least some sort of data sharing and security concerns. Not that can't be managed, but might be worth talking about a little bit. I know lots of people are kind of more liberal with that information on social networks, but there seems to be some growing concern around the amount of data that we're throwing out there. So especially when it's location based, I get particularly interested in, is there anything going on to protect that, or are there any controls in that for the end user? So.
Yeah, that's a very important thing. I think that I always try to stress that one of the things about this platform is that the information that people have on their availability or even their location. For example, location information is something that's not shared within the platform with anyone. The only time it's used is to figure out what places are within a certain radius to recommend you to go. But then also, we don't actually give people access to see your calendar.
Got it.
Pretty much what it does is it just shows you when it gives you the best time and
Times
dates
to get together.
To get there, yeah. So for example, if I have my work calendar, maybe I don't want my parents to see my work calendar, maybe I don't want my my employers or coworkers seeing my home calendar. So what it does is it would say, hey, here's the best time. If you want to do something with Sterling, here's the best time to do it. If you want to do something with Sterling and Steve, here's the best time to do it based on their availability.
I gotcha.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so getting back to you and your co-founders, how did you come up with the idea, and why are you guys the best? Because that's, I mean, again, you're asking people to
Yes.
invest in you. It's a business idea, but it's you.
Yeah. So the idea actually spawned from another application, another completely different business. So a year ago, I was building a dating app called Instimate. Pretty much what I did was to schedule the first date for you, and it had a bunch of really cool security features. We did a soft launch in Charlotte with about 500 users last May. We started reaching out to some of those users to get feedback. And when I was getting feedback, a lot of the key things that people mentioned was the scheduling tool. They wanted to know what was being used to do the automatic scheduling, because that's a big challenge people face in their lives. So after doing a little bit of probing between last May and August, then that's when I decided to pivot, and then I partnered up with my co-founder, and we actually said, okay, let's just do this, let's build this out, let's really focus on the scheduling piece of it. And that was just from going into market with a dating app and learning about the challenge, the real challenge we can solve.
I think you dug up something important. That's a valuable thing, because there's lots of smart people running around trying to do stuff like the fact that you have some material experience that pointed you to the problem, and that it was kind of a the narrower the problem, the better. And so you started with a problem here, and you got to a subset that's a narrower subset. Seems to be something that's more achievable and more specific. And I think maybe that becomes part of this pitch story as well too, because I think that is meaningful data.
I think so. And again, it's not your first rodeo. So you're kind of iterating through this, and even skill sets. I mean, is one of you a developer? One of you is the marketer? Thinking through how you're positioning and telling that side of the story, because that's as important as a business idea. Because a lot of great business ideas fail because of people, and there's a lot of great people who don't necessarily have the right business idea, and so it's bringing those two together to actually get people to hand over and write a check.
I appreciate that. I think I could do a better job in the future of kind of telling that story of not just the who we are, but then the what our goals and objectives are.
That's right.
I think I took a while to get around to
That's
that.
okay.
And so-
Yeah,
it's
it's okay.
okay.
You get there.
did a good job, and it's just
It's an
this is
interesting
learning.
problem for sure. Yeah.
And with that, thank you, Sterling. If you guys have